And I believe we are live. Just waiting for confirmation. There we see. I see the live button. Fabulous. Well, hello, and welcome everybody to the Women Led Impact Investor Challenge Founder AMA. We're so glad that you could join us today for this absolutely fabulous opportunity to hear more about this exciting program and from our 2023 winner, Roya Aghighi. My name is Nema Rimba, and I am a program manager here at Spring, and I'll also be your host for today's session. So, as you may know, Spring has a bold but simple mission to change the world through innovation. To be able to do this, we partner with various organizations, which include some of the supporting organizations for this program. And I'd like to take a quick minute to give them a shout out. So, a very big thank you to National Research Council Canada and BDC. We also now welcome you in the chat to tell us your name and tell us where you're joining us from. Perhaps drop a link to your business website or to your LinkedIn for other folks here to connect with you. You can also share some of your burning questions to our guest today using the chat box. Now, without further ado, let's get ready to dive into today's session. And so this will be a quick agenda for today, as we like to keep things, short and sweet, so you can get back to your family on this family day and or your tea or cocktails to chase those Monday blues away. Starting now with this quick welcome and then moving on to a preliminary program overview covering the general approach to the program. And then we will then have a quick interlude from our guest today, followed by a Q&A from you, the audience, for any questions you may have for Roya. Finally, I will go into the second part of the program overview that will get into a bit of a deeper dive on the ideal applicant profile, some key things to consider. And this portion in itself is marked as optional, as the information is also covered in the founder program pack in case you prefer to read. And so what is the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge? Women founders in Canada are vastly underestimated and underfunded, receiving only 2.3% of venture capital funding. And you know what? It's beyond time for women and non-binary founders to get equal investment in their startups. And so with that in mind, the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge was created as a value-packed program empowering purpose-driven founders to prepare their impact businesses for investment from like-minded, supportive impact investors. Spring has thoughtfully designed a two-stage program that addresses the unique challenges women founders face as they raise funds. Top founders will be selected for a cohort to dig into an investment readiness catalyst, receiving bespoke financial and legal support. They will then be joined by a cohort of impact investors for the Impact Investor Challenge, creating invaluable lifelong connections in a collaborative, mutually supportive environment. And so quickly looking at the program format from applications, last year we received over 80 applications. These then get cut down to top 15 companies by the selection committee, and then further distilled to top 5 finalists by the cohort of investors also in the program. The program itself will also have 20 to 30 investors pre-commit an investment pool of about $100,000. And these investors will also walk through the weekly sessions along founders and will be responsible for conducting the due diligence part with the top 5 companies. The program itself, as I mentioned, is a two-stage program starting with the investment readiness component through the investment readiness catalyst that will have 3 weekly sessions accompanied by bespoke legal and financial support to help the ventures prepare to meet and pitch to the cohort of investors. The second part of the program will consist of 8 weekly sessions that will distill the top 15 to a top 5 and finally to a winner. All this will involve valuable action-oriented content, guest speakers, research, and good old networking. In the end, this will culminate in one direct investment, but of course, there are many, many winners. And so now to the meat of the session. We are joined by our knowledgeable guest and previous Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge winner, Roya Aghighi. She is the co-founder and CEO of Lite-1. Light1 is revolutionizing the color industry by introducing a novel, scalable technology to manufacture 100% sustainable dyes grown from microorganisms in a closed circular system. Their unique biotech platform allows industry players to prototype different variations of microbial dyes and customize them to their needs. Roya herself is one half of the Light1 founding team of two women biodesigners who are programmed to be flexible, think outside the box, and adopt new creative strategies. Designer by degree and trained as a scientist by prominent experts in Canada and Europe, Roya has a solid foundation in scientific methodologies, critical thinking, and problem solving. This combination of design and scientific expertise allows Roya to approach challenges from a unique perspective, bridging the gap between creative and analytical thinking. Welcome, Roya.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me and happy Family Day to all of you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited to have you here. And even just like, saying out your bio, I was like, wow, an amazing woman. So happy to have you. So happy to have you speaking to our guests today. And so in the interest of time, I'm really just going to dive into it, get the audience to, know a little bit about Light1, what you've been up to, and your experience applying to and going through the Women-Led Impact Investor Challenge. And so, my first question, for a little bit more for the folks who might not be so familiar, do tell us a little bit about you, your company, and what you've been up to since you won the IIC.
Yes, for sure. So this is super exciting to be here, you guys. And since we won IC, we've been like really, really busy with hitting the milestones that we had set for ourselves and busy refining and just, we'll keep going. As a part of a founder life, there is no time to just not do anything. So we won IAC and that was like a really big moment for us. And since then, we've been just unstoppable.
I love it. I love it. And you've also been participating in like, different what do you call it? Different programs, pitching. I think around the IIC, I also saw you get recognition at Mars. So always like really exciting to see that. Maybe also give us just kind of like a quick TLDR of like Light1, the sector you operate in, and like, the exciting things that you have planned.
Yes, for sure. Happy to. So, at Light1, we are in a biotech deep tech sector where impact is extremely important for us. We started Light1, both Sarah and I, with the mission to act meaningfully drive a change in a toxic industry. So, what we are trying to do is to revolutionize the color industry from being the silent killer and one of the most pollutive industries to a clean, humane one where nature and us we can coexist together so we don't have to harm each other right, in any which way. And we do this by taking a really unique approach to using microorganisms as factories of future and using their functions and leveraging their functions to create very unique 100% sustainable eco-friendly colors. The aim is to make sure that beauty comes free of guilt and we don't have to kind of like ruin the environment just because we love beautiful colors and aesthetics around us.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Of course, like with the Women Led Impact Investor Challenge and with Spring, that impact piece is really at the center there. And through Light1, we can definitely see that commitment to ensuring that, yes, you're delivering something that is needed in the market, but delivering something in a more sustainable way that, like, makes beauty less daunting, that makes beauty whole and makes beauty sustainable. And so, with that, then my next question is what influenced you, or rather your decision to join the last Women Led Impact Investor Challenge?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like one of the main reasons for me to join it was seeing, like, going through the fundraising journey and understanding the fact that it's really often hard to be able to be yourself And that part of it was really big and important factor for me, like being among group of people that actually deeply care about the impact part. That's the number one priority throughout the whole investment thesis and throughout the whole program, as well as the fact that it was focused on women founders. So those two were coming together is really rare to see, and it it was like my decision factor in joining the challenge.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, like there's definitely that intersectional element, like where impact meets, like, supporting women and non binary founders, and was definitely intentional, like, on our part. So it's very good to see that it resonated on the founder side, and ultimately influenced your decision to join the women led IIC. And so, of course, you joined the IIC, you won the IIC. And so, looking back, what would you say were some of the key highlights of your experience in the program?
Um, One of the things that I always say about this program to anybody, even outside of here, whenever it comes up, is of how natural and sort of it was really natural to be a part of this program. The founders that we all participated throughout the program, we were quite like respected and valued to a different degree of like that I had experienced before. I could have expressed basically like my opinions. I could have freely share about like with what areas we were more concerned about, or what areas we needed support for, or what areas we weren't 100% like sure about how to tackle those very specific issues. And it was that transparency and the ability to be open and seek for support from a group that are supposedly were going to invest in us, and they did at the end. I think that part was very, very unique, to be authentic and be yourself a part of the program.
Oh, love to hear it. Love to hear it. Like, I'm always there for authenticity, but the fact that, like, this is also an environment where you do feel that safety to be yourself, I think is really important. I feel like for many founders, especially for women and non-binary identifying founders, there's versions of yourself that, like, you're maybe switching to, or there's opinions that, like, you're trying to voice that maybe might not be able to be articulated as much, or they are articulated but like not listened to as much. So to hear you say that, like, this was a space that you were able to do that is definitely very encouraging, as we continue to create multiple iterations of the women-led IIC, including the one that is now coming up. And so, you touched on it a little bit. You did walk away from the IIC with an equity investment from the investors in the cohort. I see something that we do see coming up time and time again is how you may or may not interact with them after the program. In your case, how have you been able to interact with some of these investors in the program? Has that looked like, mentors, advisors, network amplifiers? Walk us a little bit through what that relationship has looked like.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, and I would say is a one that may not even come up often in these type of conversations. And I'm really glad that you brought it up, because the program was really intimate between us and the group of investors that we ended up like working with for a longer period of a time. So I feel like we became really close throughout this process, that I still personally feel really comfortable to reach out to them if I feel like there is an area that they can provide support, advice, or even connections, as simple as that. Or, as you said, amplify our voice out there and reach out to a longer, broader group of audience. So I personally build that. I feel like with a few of them are closer. I just seek their help actually in a lot of other areas that I needed help with after the matter of the fact. And we became this program made it so in a sense that we became like one big family, if that makes any sense. And they genuinely wanted to help, and a lot of them that I'm still connected with, they genuinely are still helping out. So that was really interestingly, like, I don't know if it was planned or not, but the whole program made it happen that way.
I see. It was definitely planned. We've been meeting. No, I'm kidding. Um,
Oh.
yes, definitely intentional about program design in that way. a big part of the program is like the relationship building component, and relationship building component insofar as continuing to catapult and push forward the founders in the program in various ways. And I think it's actually important, like what you said, because many time, people think that the investment is usually just money. It's just like, yeah, monetary capital, right? But like you shared, capital can look like many different things, right? It can look like social capital, it can look like knowledge capital, like expertise and skill sets. Investors are able to support founders in many ways. Of course, we ain't mad at the dollar bills. Let them get the money, but they can also help in various other ways. So thank you for underscoring that for us.
Yeah, and one thing to add to that, I feel like
Yes.
it's really important to understand the meaningful aspect of a smart investment, not just capital, like, just not raising money for the money. I mean, I know that being a founder myself is hard to say that. It's easier said than done, but you never know what they can help you with. So actually, like opening up about your needs and the areas that it could be as rare as, hey, I'm looking for a space. I'm looking for a person that can help me in this area or that area. People open up and people are always willing to help. And that was something beautifully projected in this program.
Fabulous, fabulous. And speaking of space, I saw like one got their first office space. Congratulations for that. A
Very
big
excited.
congratulations on that milestone. So yeah, looking back, let's take it a little bit back. Looking back at the application period, which is kind of where a lot of folks are right now as we come up to the deadline of the next Women-led Impact Investor Challenge. So looking back at that application period, is there anything you would recommend for applicants to do or showcase?
Um, you know what? I don't know if I have a recommendation per se, but I can just say that for myself at that time, I had a lot of hesitations or fear around would it be beneficial for us, because looking back at the past winners, they were a little bit ahead of the game. They were like at the later stage than where we were at the time when we applied. So that was the biggest concern or hesitation that I had. And I feel like Nema, I actually bugged you a lot about it before applying and throughout the whole process as well. But I feel like just make sure that you're really transparent about where you are, showing that stage where you're in, but solid plans, clear plans of what needs to get done to get you to the next stage or the future milestones that you have planned for yourself is going to go a really long way. The committee in general that are participating, regardless if they're investors or the spring team, they're very they see through that stage, they see through those milestones. So I wouldn't be worried about it as long as you can actually show that clear pathway, detailed milestones that you have for yourself. Like, I feel like that's something that I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I think what Roya shared is quite valuable for the audience at home or wherever you're tuning in from. I think Light 1 and Roya exemplify the beauty of like shooting your shot, like shooting your program shot, because Roya, like she said, had like some hesitations, and like we had a conversation, and she ended up applying, and look, they ended up being the winner. So yes, you might have like hesitations, but like don't sell yourself short. Don't discount the amazing things that you've done. Be able to like showcase those and showcase those milestones, and you could very well be our next winner. And so then the last question that I have here is insofar as the actual program. So if you look back on the actual program, what would you recommend to the participants for them to get the most out of the program?
A few things. Number one, building those very strong, deep relationships is really valuable. Like, I feel like that's besides the investment part, which is really, that's why probably most of you or a lot of people that applied in our round apply for this program. But I feel like the relationship piece is a lot more valuable. Even if you don't win, there's a lot more to the program. The fact that the program shows us that there are other type of investors in this world that actually genuinely care about the impact, and how everybody wants to be hands on in supporting the founders to succeed and they cheer for you is really powerful. So building this strong relationship is like something that I recommend. And don't be afraid of being vulnerable and basically sharing what you are most concerned with, because that builds a whole new community of supporters that would go above beyond to make sure that they can help you. And again, showing the plans along with the parts that you're concerned about goes a really long way.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, we like to say that yes, there is one like direct investment, but there are many winners, and I think that showcases that, right? That there is many places that you can pull like different perks from the program, whether it's like from those relationships, and the fact that the people who are in this room like collectively are like really committed to wanting to drive the founders' work forward, to drive their work ahead. And of course, there's like the legal support and the financial support, and that also helps give, some of those more like technical expertise. But all in all, everyone is like rooting for you. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Folks in the audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments. And as we, I guess, wait for that, I will then maybe. Oh, okay. I see a question here. How has the challenge changed things for you and Light One?
Um, it builds a really, really great momentum coming from academic world and then a different type of industry. Sarah and I didn't have a lot of direct relationship with the investment scene. So um, before this, it was kind of really hard to build the foundation of our community of within the investment world and startup world and such. But this program built a really good momentum in that aspect for us. It gave us the visibility, this recognition, besides the money part and the investment part, was really significant in showcasing that what we are really like out for, like which is an impactful business can be a sustainable and profitable business. So profit is not necessarily detached from impact. Actually, like one of the ways to be able to measure profit is how measure impact. Sorry, is how much profit you're making. That means that the bigger portion of the market you're transforming. So, I feel like all in all, um, that part was really like important to us,
Mhm.
and this program helped us to get that visibility and be seen as one of the examples of a sustainable profitable business,
Yes.
promising like higher reward at the end, being able to make a huge impact while still being able to operate as a very profitable business as well.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. I am conscious that we're almost coming at half past the hour. And so, what I will ask is, as a founder, doing everyday founder life things, and having gone through like, the women led IIC, I was going to ask for a parting shot, but like I see one really important question. So I'll ask that and then ask for your parting shot. And so we see here, have you experienced gender-based barriers as a women-led company?
Oh, only always every day. um, so and that's one of the experiences that I had through this program that kind of like faded that away. Like I remember when I joined, I was kind of like hesitant because it was like, it's this sounds so good to be true. Where is the catch? But actually, like going and spending a lot of time with the team, I realized that no, they actually genuinely care to start pushing back these biases about gender and race and all of that. So as women in a very niche industry of biotech, I think, and myself being an immigrant, we constantly face a lot of triple type of like biases, and
Mm,
it's not really easy. It can often like get into your head or such. But then again, going back to the conversation that you're trying to build here, or I'm trying to build here, is that surrounding yourself with the right type of people um,
mm.
is exactly the key to being able to constantly go through it and not letting those keeping you kind of like down.
Yeah, honestly, like testament to, like, it takes a village. It definitely takes a village. And so partly potting short, partly this last question. If there was a piece of advice you could give to yourself at the start of your founder journey, what would that be,
Hmm.
as we close out?
Um, I would say don't be afraid to shoot for a really high goal, because this is a very extremely difficult journey of founding a company. And if we let it get like it lets us to actually like be fearful of taking big risks and taking like big steps. But don't be afraid to do that. Like that's at the end of the day, that's all it's all about. Like
And there you heard it, folks. Don't be scared to shoot for the stars, shoot for the moon, shoot beyond into the galaxies.
go
Thank you so
beyond.
much. Thank you so much for your time, Roya. If you have any more questions, we're on LinkedIn. Look Roya up. You can ask her a lot more about Lite-1, her experience in the Women Led Impact Investor Challenge, and all the exciting things that Lite-1 has coming up. Thank you once again, Roya, for your time.
Thank you for your time and having me. And it's always great to see you, Nemo.
Always a good time. Always a good time. Okay, and so now we will just quickly go back into um, um, so there we go. Quickly go back into our presentation here. And so just a couple of quick things to know. I want to take a quick moment to walk through some valuable things, including the participant journey, upcoming dates, the investment overview, and some frequently asked questions we see coming up. This information is also available in the information package that you can download from our website, spring.is, under the founder section. And so, like we shared, this program is kind of like two-stage. And so, in the beginning here, of course, we're doing, or you're working on your applications, and we have founder applications deadlining at the end of this week, February 23rd. And so, from that, in March, we will then start the Impact Readiness Catalyst. And this essentially is there to provide you an opportunity to prepare yourself and your ventures to pitch to the investors. And so then after that, we go into, meeting the founders, and then the top 15 Q&A. And so that's a Q&A with the investors in the cohort to be able to then be distilled to a group of 5. Those 5 will then go through the weekly sessions, which are the core sessions, which will culminate in a pitch finale at the end of the program. And there will be one winner who will walk away with the direct investment. However, like we said, there are many winners in this program. And so, looking at upcoming dates, on here I say February 21 as the company application deadline, but that's just because in the 10 minutes before this call, that has changed. So, your application deadline will be February 23rd. And so, by February 27th, we will have selected the top 15 and notified you if your application is successful. If your application is not successful, we will still get back to you by then. And then from March 5th to 19th, we have the company orientation and the impact readiness catalyst. And then from March 19th to April 16th, we'll have a short little break. And so this is an opportunity for you to lean into the bespoke legal and financial support that you will be receiving in order to ensure that everything is ready and good to go for you to meet the investors, which will be happening on April 16th. After that, there will be the pitch event, so the top 15 company pitch event and Q&A with the investor cohort, after which there will be a vote, and the top 5 finalists will be selected on May 1st to then move into due diligence and finally get a winner. Now, how do we select the companies? To be able to answer this, I think it's really important to just, share what an ideal applicant looks like. So an ideal applicant embodies a few characteristics. They are environmental and or socially impact-driven companies, particularly in food security, responsible consumption and production, health and well-being, reduced inequalities, and education. But we, of course, welcome applications from all impact areas. For this challenge, we'll be considering applicants in the pre-seed to seed stage. And another important aspect is the team. Applicants with a strong team commitment as well as a diverse team will have a leg up in the challenge. Finally, we'll be looking at ventures with the potential for scale, and they're looking to raise anywhere between 250,000 to 5 million on average in their current round. A very important thing we see is the investment overview. How does this investment actually work? And so at the end of the program, there'll be around 100,000 invested into one winning company. The exact amount will depend on our final investor commitments. Our past winners have walked away with 293,000 and 165,000 investment against an initial target of 100,000. The investment itself is made through what we call a special purpose vehicle, and this will be called the Spring Holding Co. to be created and funded. The terms, which is really important, a question we see coming up a lot, is how do the terms or how are the terms arrived at? The terms are set on an individual company basis. So each company will set their terms, and this will be evaluated further or negotiated in due diligence. Spring does not take carry on the investment, so 100% of the returns will be allocated to investors. And then the SPV itself will withhold 5,000 of the investment committed for a lifetime of corporate expenses such as the accounting and legal fees associated with running the SPV. Spring will also invoice the winning company 3% of the investment amount as the program and learning fee, and that's just the winning company. Finally, there is an opportunity for a co-investment pending due diligence by BDC. And so with that, I just wanted to then go through a rapid fire, frequently asked questions to just address some of the questions that we see always coming up. But of course, I welcome you to reach out to us should some of the questions you have not be addressed here. And so who from the company is accepted to participate? Is it just the founder, or can another employee or advisor join? So for the weekly sessions, more than one team member can join. However, the CEO or person most involved in raising capital needs to participate in all of the sessions. Because this is a women-led impact investor challenge, this would also be the woman or non-binary identifying leader or leaders in that company. What are the approximate terms of the investment to the winning company? How much equity are the angels seeking for the investment? Like I shared, the terms are usually set on an individual basis. The founder defines the terms, and that is not restricted to do as in equity. It can be in debt, it can be a convertible note, etc. The founders set the terms. Have any of the other finalists who did not win receive investment after the challenge? Yes, some winners in the past have received other investments. Again, we said capital can look like many things, but an example is Sky Acres Agrotechnologies, who was a finalist in the Angels for Climate Solutions program, and they ended up raising 750,000 for their first round. They got publicity in the Vantech Journal from making it as a finalist in the program, and were also reached out to by an analyst. And so the next question is, will the investors become active partners along with their investment, or are they more silent partners? All investors in the SPV should get quarterly reporting and consulted on future rounds. Interactions with investors depends on the relationships you have built throughout the program. For example, some might take a mentor role, others will amplify reach through their networks. It can look like many things, like Roya shared earlier on. And then one question that's more structural that we see: does evidence of pre-orders or quantifiable interest in the product count as traction? This is on a case-by-case basis. The stipulation is that the ventures need to be pre-seed to seed stage. We are cognizant that depending on the sector that your venture is coming from, there are ventures that are at this stage but are not yet revenue generating. As such, I would encourage you to apply, because this is evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And then the other question is around revenue. Is there a specific amount of revenue required for companies to apply? The short answer is no. We have had pre-revenue companies participate in these programs. We have had revenue generating companies participate in these programs. As I shared, depending on the sector, traction can look like many things, and revenue is not the only signifier of an important milestone that we review. And then finally, what are the program costs? So there are no fees to participate in the program. However, the finalists who receive investment from the investor program participants or the Spring Investing Collective will be invoiced 3% of the total investment amount. This is an administrative fee that helps cover the transaction costs. And as a parting shot, what should I prepare before applying? At the very least, please have a brief description of the missions and purpose of your business, the problem your business is solving for, how and for whom, what UN Sustainable Development Goal your business falls under, the status of your fundraising to date and future goals, and of course, a pitch deck or company presentation. And I know that was very rapid fire. But if you do have any questions, once again, you're welcome to our website. I see we also have the links posted in the chat, so you're able to see that to be able to read more on the program and download the founder information package to ensure that you are ready to apply to the Women-led Impact Investor Challenge. We do look forward to reading and evaluating your application. And if in the meantime you do have a burning question before you throw your hat in the ring, please feel free to reach out to me at nema@spring.is. Doing a quick scan here, I do not see any other questions. So once again, welcome. We look forward to hearing from you. And if not for this Women-led Impact Investor Challenge, somewhere else in our spring streets. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your afternoon or evening or night or morning, depending on where you're tuning in from.